Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to another episode of the Dysfunctional Fitness Podcast. You are joined today by myself, Matthew Hosking, and obviously my good friend and co-host, Ben Bodycom. We're back again. Unfortunately, we had a bit of a mishap with our last recording. It was very annoying because I actually really enjoyed that episode. I think it was one of our best ones. Had a lot of fun.
Yeah, we can say that.
Yeah.
All those episodes that we've never released, they are our best content.
No, but I mean, like, just personally, I just enjoyed it. I
Yeah.
think some of the stuff we talked about
It was good.
was quite fun. I was supposed to ranting at the end about the horrific answers by Dave Eubanks during the Talking Elite Fitness podcast about scoring issues. But we can maybe touch on that again. But yeah, so order of proceedings today, we are just going to go through a little bit of news. The age group semi-finals leaderboards are finalised now, so we'll have a little look at that. We'll also touch on the Zach George story. Obviously, that broke last week. We actually literally recorded the day after that happened, and I think we put together quite a good debate about it for a good 15 to 20 minutes. Unfortunately, again, we sort of lost some of that footage or audio, whatever you want to call it. So we'll just quickly go over our points. Saying that, Jason CrossFit Media did make a very good video about it, which I feel like summarizes our points quite well. So if you want to go watch that, would recommend on YouTube. And then after that, we're just going to look at the semi-final workouts for individuals and maybe teams as well. They were released over the last week. But yeah, and there's quite a bit of chat around them. So that is the order of proceedings for today. But first, as our new icebreaker, which you didn't get to experience because we didn't put out the last episode, Benjamin, how's your week been?
It's been pretty good. I had to shift one of my training. I had to shift my training day from Wednesday to Thursday, and the way my program is written is that you kind of needed a rest day after that full Wednesday session. So I am suffering today. So just to give you a flavor, the start of my Wednesday session was built to a heavy power clean. Take 70% of that and do 30 for time, plus a load of deadlifts after, and then a very aggressively hip hinging volume Metcon piece afterwards. And then today I had kettlebell deadlifts, kettlebell farmers carries, chest to bar, followed by 30 sandbag cleans for time. So yeah, I'm horrendous. Yeah. It was a day of moving. Nice. And so I moved slowly. More slowly than I normally move as well, which is something to see. How's your week been? How's week 2 of prep?
Exactly, prep to the UK champs, even though still not officially even in it because they still can't send out invites, but supposedly they're coming out next week. But should be good. They've actually increased the number of invites for the RX division, so there's literally mathematically no way I don't get in unless another one of my videos gets voided. But yeah, I should be fine. I mean, I should be fine. Put it that way. The worst in case that happens, you can go see the leaderboard if you want, but I'm not going to say where I am. But I'm all right. But yeah, so this week's been all right. Same as you've had to shift training around a bit. How stressful? First world problems. Was doing a long charity event today, which I'll get into in a second. But because of that, I was going to miss my whole Saturday, so I had to shift my whole training week one day forward. So like you, after my Wednesday, I usually do a massive day on a Wednesday because I know I'm just doing easy aerobic stuff on a Thursday, but I didn't really have that luxury. So I just literally went Monday through Friday, and I didn't really add in my easy aerobic on that Thursday because I just basically did my Friday and my Saturday those days. So yeah, my body was an absolute bits by yesterday, and then today didn't really help that either, but it's all good. But yeah, I would not recommend doing, what did I do? I would not recommend doing heavy deadlifts into heavy hang cleans into actual deadlift cycling as well, 3 days on the trot with loads of gymnastics in there. So that's not the one, but it is what it is. So yeah, all right. And then today tackled a 7-hour long AMRAP for charity at the gym I go to, the training zone in Welland. It was a 1K row on the Concept 2 rower, a 2K bike on the C2 bike, a 1K run, and then 20 burpees, or basically down ups. We pretty much did down ups, didn't really like extend your hands over your head or anything, just did a little hop on the spot. But yeah, that was quite savage. There were two of the members who
So
do a lot of
no reps
triathlons.
all your burpees? Is that what you're saying?
Yeah, exactly. Pretty much.
So
zero
how many
burpees were done. So basically, I actually failed at the first round.
So you got time capped at the first round. I completed 1K row, 2K bike, and a 1K run.
Exactly. If it's an online video, cap there. Hate to see it.
Oh dear.
But yeah, no, it was good.
Well, I was going to donate. Now I'm not.
I was flying through them though. I was ripping through them. As we know, my burpees aren't too shabby. Shout out the Sid workout 2A, whatever it was. But yeah, so no, it was good. It was tough. I did with two members who do a lot of Ironmans and like triathlons, so they're pretty savage when it comes to that long endurance stuff. They do some like crazy things, and yeah, so just gave it a crack. We started at 5:30 this morning, so I was up at 4. Had to get down there for like 5 and like just open the gym, all that jazz. So it's been a long day. Here we are. We're been up for over 13 hours now. But yeah, it was good. Did, what was it, 22 and a half rounds basically. So we got 23k worth of rowing, 46k worth of biking, really 47 because we did an extra 1,000. Basically, the timing wasn't going to line up. So instead of going out on the long 1k route and like finishing at a really random distance away from the gym, we just decided to cycle an extra 1,000 and then just do a short run out and back so we could actually finish in the gym for a bit of atmosphere. So yeah, it was like 23k row, 47ish k bike, 22 and a bit k run, and then 440 burpees or down ups or just no reps if you want to say that. But yeah, so no, it was good. It was tough, but the last
good stuff.
I think 4.5 hours in, the last 2.5 hours were very rough. I was about 4.5 hours in. I was mentally happy with how I done. I was like, okay, I think I could honestly just quit now and be fine. Yeah, the last 2.5 was really rough, really bad, but no, it was all good. Only cramped badly twice on the row.
That's good. That's really good.
Like my hamstrings just started locking up for 2 of the rows, which wasn't ideal. But yeah, then they sort of they seemed to clear themselves out a bit. But yeah, it was good. Very good fun, good atmosphere. But yeah, it was quite tough. My legs were in bits.
And now. All for a good cause as well.
Yeah, for a great cause for breast cancer charity. So all
we'll
good.
Throw up the Just Giving link when we release the podcast as well.
Yep, do that definitely. Lovely stuff. Right, let's get into these age group semis leaderboards then.
Which have finally been confirmed earlier this week, which is good. So I think it's worth us just going through and highlighting the European athletes that have made it through, because you tend to see outside of the individual, well, including the individual, lots of dominated by the US guys and the Canadians. So starting in the girls 14 to 15, and interestingly, there's a Guatemalan athlete on top, and she won 3 of the 6 events, which is really, really impressive for her. But from a European standpoint, we've got Mira Varga from Hungary. Doesn't look like she's competing out of an affiliate. And, this is going to be a tough one. Celisa Elina out of Anjou CrossFit in France as well. So 2 Europeans in that category. Really impressive.
We had
both of them.
Yeah, and we had Belinda, is that Dennett? Just missing out in 12th place. So good effort from her. Seems like event 3 and 4 were the ones that probably knocked it down a bit. So, but yeah, still a good effort. So yeah, nice. Right, on to the boys.
14 to 15. We got Pau Martin Thies out of CrossFit 77 feet. coming in fifth, along with another Spanish guy, Cesar Tijista, out of CrossFit PTB. And he makes it through in ninth, and then Pablo Tronchon out of France makes it through in 10th in that final spot. He did his workouts at CrossFit High Five. And for the 14 and 15-year-olds, there's a surprising number of 14-year-olds in the top 10 as well.
I'll tell you what, I don't know if the trend's going to follow, but for like the teens, but there's so many just young Spanish and French kids. I mean, it was quite evident also just in semis, like semis and quarters, just in the open division. Like it's just a lot of young blood in, especially Spain and France, a bit of Germany. But yeah, it's just interesting. Like we're slacking. UK needs to up their game.
If you look at affiliate numbers, and I think especially coming out of COVID, like affiliate numbers sort of peaked in the UK, like just pre-COVID. And so naturally you didn't have that opportunity for all those kids in those gyms, whereas affiliate numbers have started to peak post-COVID in a lot of those countries in France and Spain, so they've got a lot more opportunity for the kids to get into the gyms as well, which I think is that they're starting to see that those sort of dividends pay off. And you've also got gone.
I would say, do you think it's cheaper out there as well? Because like memberships for most CrossFit gyms isn't cheap. Like it's quite expensive.
No, but I do think there's a different culture in the UK compared to other countries. Like in the UK, we do have a lot of culture of team sport, but I don't think that we necessarily have the same culture of sort of general health and fitness.
Yeah.
And that's you look at these countries, and I think sort of gyms are omnipresent in kids' lives up to 15, 16, like they get to use them in schools and stuff, whereas that isn't much prevalent in the UK outside of the public school system, really. From my perspective anyway, from what I've seen. But yeah, I think that's like a lot of things. I think JSTs talk about it quite a lot, about wanting to sort of create that sort of environment that kids could come into and succeed in as well. But I would be interested to see if there's a sort of direct correlation between the number of CrossFit Kids seminars that are hosted in a country and the number of and the representation that they get at the teen level as well. Because ultimately the teen level is still so small compared to even the majority of the age groups as well. It's still absolutely tiny. But no, you're right in terms of identifying that France and Spain are getting some strong performance. But moving on to girls 16-17, referencing Spain, Elia Del Olmo in fourth has made it through. Lucy McGonigal made it through in third. So I was kind of expecting her to do quite well, but she had that first workout, really struggled with it. It looks like came 23rd. So that's a huge points deficit there for her to try and accrue coming back in. And then in eighth, you've got Belgros Bjornsdottir out of CrossFit Reykjavik. Perhaps unsurprisingly, might be a name to keep an eye on for the future. She made it through in eighth, had a fairly strong performance as well. And then in ninth, we had Veronika Voriskova out of the Czech Republic at CrossFit Pulsen. But she did all of her workouts at C23 CrossFit, which I think is where the program's based. Am I right?
That's a good point. I'm not 100% sure. Maybe. I can't remember where's the program based again?
Mallorca.
Oh, that's it.
Yeah, C23 CrossFit. Yeah.
Fair enough. I watched
so that's interesting.
Like training, their like semi-final prep camp vlogs the other day, and it looked I can't say like it looked like it was that type of country, but I know what you mean. If you get me.
Yeah.
Fair enough.
Mr. Hosking showing off his cultural skills there.
I got an A in geography. Leave me alone.
Moving on to the boys. The boys 16, 17-year-olds. like, and I think to touch on this point about the way that kids develop and the way that we develop them, I think because CrossFit still has such a bias on strength, we've got 1 through 7 are US qualifiers, perhaps unsurprisingly, and then an Australian in 8th, a Brazilian in 9th, and then Hugo Janssen out of Styrka CrossFit, who's 90 kilos at 17. Huge.
Yeah, that's big.
Yeah. So yeah, he was able to be the sole European representative. Coming out of there, we had Ilan James out of CrossFit First Time, which is a name that we've already referenced, coming in 11th as well. So if any of those guys aren't able to make it, obviously we'll get another European through as well. Moving on to the women's 65 plus, and we have a UK qualifier in Karen Dawkins out of CrossFit Warminster. 65 years old. That's absolutely huge.
Yeah, I mean that category is literally dominated by America. That is,
yeah. It's you'll see this going from 65 down to, I'm gonna say, like 45. It's just dominated by the US completely. I think
there's 28 in that leaderboard, and only 5 are not from the US.
It's madness, isn't it? Absolute domination.
Yeah.
So yeah, awesome to see Karen making it through across at Warminster. Hopefully she's able to make it across to the US for the games. Moving on to the men 65 plus, again, like it's gonna be a similar picture. I think there are
this is less
3 non-US flags. Yeah, no, I'm telling you, this is mad, man. It's absolutely insane. Jean-Louis Duret, CrossFit Atom in France, has made it through in 9th. So props to him, flying the flag for Europe.
Oh, David Hippenstill's in this division. The GOAT.
65 plus.
The movement quality GOAT. He's in 3rd.
Is he 67 now?
Well, he's in this division. But
he got a 7-second handstand hold, and that was enough for 4th.
You know what? I told you those demo videos when these workouts came out with age groups. I told you.
I know.
That's why they picked that guy to do them. Everyone was like trolling him, but I was like, well, they're trying to make it more accurate to the more there's more ages who will be performing the movements like hit that guy. That was quite funny.
I'm very impressed.
10 seconds was second. 10 seconds was second place. What was a win? 13 seconds. Elite. Hashtag built different. I mean, to be fair, how old is that guy who got the one? He is 65. Like, fair play. That's still pretty impressive.
There are definitely people in the UK who cannot stand up on their own 2 feet, let alone their hands, for that length of time. But anyway,
oh, that was impressive.
Sorry.
Right.
Don't get me started on the state of sick care in this country. I refuse to call it.
It could be our spin-off show. It could be our spin-off show.
Ben rants about the political situation of the UK. Also, as Ben finally uses his politics degree.
We will have Savon Podcast have Shut Up and Scribble for their programming. We'll just have Shut Up and Ben featuring Ben Bodycom for an hour.
Oh dear. The women's 60 to 64, we don't have no Europeans even made it through, but something to note is that you've got 1 New Zealander and 3 Australians who've made it. Yeah. Am I sure? Yeah.
Yeah, I agree.
And then you've also got one of the longest games competitors of all time, who has been she's also the GOAT. I mean, the GOAT of consistency. She's only had 2 podium finishes in that time. But Lynn Natman first went to the games in 2010, and has podiumed twice since then, and has made it 2010, 2011, 2012, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 21, and 22. So every year there has been a games that she can qualify for, she has been there. So that is incredibly impressive from her. Yeah,
Oh,
to be able to
I wasn't
get.
talking about her. I was actually talking about that Susan Clark.
Oh yeah. No,
Yeah,
no, Susan Clark is the goat. Yeah, without
yeah,
a doubt.
yeah.
If you want to run and give some details on Susan Clark.
Yeah, I'm looking at her profile now. She's from 2014. Her worldwide rank. This is sort of like this new system. 2014 first, 2015 second, 2016 first, 2017 third, 2019 first, 2021 fourth, 2023 second. But she's been like number one, basically Canadian, every year since she's been doing it.
If you
Basically.
scroll down, you can now see her games appearances.
Oh yeah, okay. That's what I was confused about. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, she's taken what's that? A win, one, two, three, four, four
Oh no,
wins.
scroll down right to the bottom of that
Oh,
page.
that was it.
What you're
Okay,
on.
yeah. She got wins in every year she's competed. Yeah, that's what I was trying to look for, but then maybe I thought I heard
Basically,
that stat wrong. But
yeah.
yeah,
Susan
she's won
Clark
every.
now turns up to the games every other year and wins it every single time. She went in 2014, won it. Went in 2015, won it. Then went 2017, 19, and 21, won it. Naturally, she didn't compete last year, but it's 2023, so she's back and she's ready to win. So yeah, I do her promo on the side. Yeah, so excited to see how she does there. Looks like it's a little bit of a stiffer competition this year. Moving on to the men's 60 to 64. In 10th is our only European, which is Gerardo Schiatti out of Italy, if you can tell. And then we also had Magnus Paneteg from Sweden, who goes to Sturka CrossFit in 11th, so just missing out by 11 points to make it through as well. Then
Again, all just
looking at the
Americans
women
in that one.
55.
Crazy. Apart from
It
one,
is.
obviously.
No,
Yeah.
it's, yeah. And as we sort of start to filter down, we get to the women 55 to 59. Number one, Lee Coates out of CrossFit Coastal in the UK, judged by Ant Haynes. Oh, is she Hong Kong then? I think she must be. I think she is, yeah. So she obviously competes out of Hong Kong because Ant Haynes, who was previous national champion of there, is listed as her judge. So she's made it through. Next closest European is Marsha van Glanenwegel out of Netherlands and AG CrossFit. Men 55 to 59. We've got two Europeans in what is becoming a theme of scraping the last two qualifying spots. Got David Uzan Dizaga in 9th out of CrossFit Bellum and Anders Amren out of CrossFit Nacka in Sweden in 10th. So both of those guys just making it through. Moving on to the women 50 to 54. Our first Norwegian that I think we've referenced.
Yep.
Jana Naomi Rovik in 10th at the age of 51 from Kick CrossFit. So well done to her. Referencing some of the UK athletes, Helen McLeod in 15th at the age of 51 from Claymore CrossFit. So obviously she missed out. It's quite a tight leaderboard. So she missed out by 54 points, so not too far off at all. And Becky Knowles also made it through there as well. She was from CrossFit Truro, and she ended up in 19th. And moving on to the men now. Giulio Silvino out of CrossFit Teramo has made it through in first place for the men 50 to 54. So he'll be looking to, and he had a fairly decent points gap as well. Not that great aerobically, it looks like. He was 17th in workout 1A, which was that sort of long double under rowing shuttle run chipper, but looks to have done fairly well.
Yeah, well, it looks like the guy behind him pretty much lost it because of the handstand hold.
Yeah,
Obviously, he still would have won overall, but it would have been a lot closer if he had a better handstand hold. But yeah.
Moving on to the women 45 to 49 and the queen of UK CrossFit, Kelly Friel, in her first year in that age category. Storms to victory with nothing lower than a 7th place, and that was the handstand hold where she got 50 seconds. So ridiculously impressive performance from her. In 4th, Merituli Kallio out of Finland. And 3 Brazilians, actually.
Yeah, and there's quite a few Brazilians actually plotted around all these leaderboards. Quite a few.
Yeah. No comment on.
Well, I'll just follow interesting.
Anything that.
No, I just thought it was interesting.
But to touch on it, like we've seen a huge growth in Brazil amongst affiliate numbers, so probably I'm expecting that to continue. Like Brazil is the sort of new CrossFit growth area, allegedly. After I think they weren't able to sort of penetrate the Chinese market as much as they expected to. Moving on, men 45 to 49.
This is a controversial one. I don't know if you've seen the
video
on this.
I think I put it on in the background, but I haven't actually listened to it. Do you want to give a rundown of what's going on?
Yeah, that Gerard Garcia qualified third is just 100% a cheat. So get him out. We don't want him in our sport.
because we do believe everything that Hiller says.
No, but watch. No, just go watch a video and like it's pretty clear this guy's a cheat.
Got it.
Like, just go watch it. Just you won't deny that if you watch it. Trust me. Like he's put on from his Instagram. I think last year. I don't know what. I can't remember if it was like last year or the year before. He is basically twice the size as he is now than he was last year, which is not gonna lie, pretty difficult to do when you're a 45 to 49-year-old guy. He's absolutely jacked now. Yeah, very sus, and like some of his scores were just like 82 reps, and I'm pretty sure they used the same weights as the Rich Froning division, and he beat Froning and Panchek. So I was like, the highlight, I was like, that's a bit sus to me. So I think he used fake plates. That's what Hiller was saying, which I wouldn't be surprised, but some people do that. So I just thought it was quite sus. But you can disagree. But I would actually agree with Hiller's points on that video about this guy.
Yeah, and he didn't do. He was 12th on the workouts that didn't contain a barbell. He was 12th and 20th. So,
yeah, there you go.
Yeah, tells you what you need to know.
Bit sus.
But either way, still the top placed European in that category. So bring home the gold, eh?
Well, we'll see what happens at the games. We'll see what happens at the games then. Yeah, as Gassman said, you can cheat your way, but you'll get exposed at some level. Like back in the day, regionals, people used to cheat their way there. He just argued, oh, well, they'll just get exposed. So maybe this guy will get exposed. If he doesn't, if he backs it up, then maybe fair play. But
his weight on his games profile is 78 kilos. So,
yeah. Interesting.
Yeah. From the hopefully less controversial athletes to highlight, unless Hosking's hiding some knowledge that I know nothing about. Andrea Di Salvatore out of CrossFit Parioli. He's sitting in 8th out of Italy as well. And then Spencer Whitley out of CrossFit Blockhouse in the UK has qualified in 9th as well, with a fairly consistent group of finishes, which is pretty good. So good to see that. And Vlad Liashkevich, competing out of Europe, country unknown. I think we all know what that means. He's made it through in 10th as well.
I know this guy's not European, but Jason Grubb taking the win. That's apparently his first ever online competition win, even though he's won the in-person stuff quite a few times. So it's quite interesting. And he's got a good YouTube channel. It's quite actually interesting watch, just from a masters athlete perspective. He trains out of Mayhem with Froning and the boys. So he actually puts out decent content. Would recommend giving it a watch. It's quite interesting. Like, I think he lives in like a trailer. And he has like an ice bath set up and everything like outside, like on the grass. Like it's like a motorhome thing. Very random, but yeah, he's a force to be reckoned with.
Are you looking at him and seeing your future? Is this what's
No.
happening?
Well, maybe. I don't know. We'll
No,
see what. That's still quite a way off. 20 years time. I don't know. We'll
it's
see.
20 years.
That's quite a long way off.
20 years from now,
That's almost
you
double
could
my
be living in
lifetime.
Australia and have.
So I hope things have gone a different direction. But I don't know. I don't know if they'll still be doing CrossFit by this time in 20 years time. Who knows? Who knows? Watch out! I might be dominating the 45 to 49 age group, or I might be getting a hill and making videos of me about why I'm a cheat.
His heart rate still doesn't go above 130 on burpees. It makes no sense. Moving on to the women 40 to 44. Sam Briggs, 2 first place finishes and a third, puts her in 4th. She's made it back to the games. But it's going to be tough for her. So I don't know whether she's actually going or not. But, you know, the fact that you've got people like Jen Ryan, who's been a sort of outside regionals athlete for a number of years, and Becca Voigt-Miller, who's in that as well. It's going to be interesting to see. I think Hope Cicero's qualified for that previously as well. So we're getting down to the sort of years where there are names that have been around the space for a little bit of time at the highest level as well. So really cool to see Sam Briggs back there. I was at Sid last year when she retired, and yeah, I think interesting to see how she's going to do this year. Moving on to the men's 40 to 44 in what is a very geographically diverse leaderboard, with somebody from Lebanon in 1st, somebody from Slovakia in 3rd, a Portuguese in 4th, and a Costa Rican in 6th. Top placed European is František Hereban out of Slovakia. Then we've got Bruno Militao in 4th out of Portugal and CrossFit Alvalade. Following that, Christian Jensen out of Norway is in 7th from CrossFit Grimstad. And Kasper Mirup just missed out in 11th from CrossFit Hobro in Denmark as well. And then the women 35 to 39 division. Top placed. They've classed them as Asian. Russia's in Asia. I always forget that fact. It's not Europe. So Laurie Clement in 6th out of CrossFit Caen, and Carmen Perez Ruiz out of Arte Bros CrossFit in Spain as well, and Belinda Becker out of the Netherlands, CrossFit Vondel Gym South, makes it there in 9th as well. And finally, the most exciting division, the one we're all looking forward to, and hoping that Reebok stump up the cash to convince Mr. Froning to return to the games. The men's 35 to 39. Panchik beat Froning by 2 points. So I imagine that's not sitting well with Rich at the moment, but I think he's definitely said he's not going. From a European standpoint, 6th, 7th, and 8th, we have Julian Lopez out of CrossFit La Ciotat. Frederick Gideus out of CrossFit Reykjavik, but obviously from Denmark. It's Annie Thorisdot's partner. And then Gintas Petrikas out of Lithuania and CrossFit Lesvi as well. So yeah, like a fairly strong cohort of Europeans. Steve Fawcett missed out in 12th, but has made it to individual semi-finals, so we'll be seeing him on the competition floor in Berlin. But not all the time, will we, Matthew? Because unfortunately, CrossFit released some information a couple of days ago that you're not too happy about. And that is a segue, and let's enjoy that transition, because that was a very good transition from me, Ben.
Well, I might quit up on that though, but I don't know the specific details of that point that you just suggested, because not each. I know Europe is going to have probably 2 floors as well, because they've got a super semi, because they've got the teams and like loads of individuals. But I think this was just direct. I don't know if this is just maybe it is directed at every single semi, which would be really peak. But yeah, so the point Ben was basically referencing is that basically CrossFit put out saying that we're not going to be able to watch 2 of the workouts for individuals, which is basically just an absolute joke. But yeah, it just makes no sense. CrossFit again, just making silly mistakes. just can't sort out how to function as a business. It's just embarrassing. Like, what else can you say? It's just so stupid. There's probably no reasons. Like, well, okay, they're going to argue there's reasons, but really, is there any reason they can't show those events? Really, like, what is the reason? Alex actually at the gym made a good joke saying, "I guess that 20% of layoffs was actually just their camera crew." So that was quite good. But it's just so stupid. Just once again,
I mean, I can tell you what it probably is.
yeah. Well, go on.
Individual test 1 and 3 are the 2 longest events.
Mm-hmm.
Right? I imagine you pay people for the hours that they work. Like, you don't just contract them for the full weekend. You pay for bandwidth, you pay for everything like that. So the longest events cost you the most to run. They're difficult to fill time on because commentators don't always have, any other facts aside from Justin Medeiros won the event at the games last year. And that's all they talk about. And they don't talk about, the full breadth of the field. But anyway.
No, I get that point, but still,
soapbox, man.
There's just better ways to go about it. I don't care. Sort it out. Find a way to get those. I don't care what the issue is. Like, that's just so stupid. You wait all, like, the fans of the sport, like us and other people, you wait all year to literally watch just the best of the best to go against each other. A very few, like a small amount of times, and you can't even watch all the tests. It's just so stupid. And the more annoying thing is they're going to show more of the team workouts. And no offense, people do team, but no one cares about team. No one cares. It is facts. I'm sorry. You can disagree with me, but it's facts. Team is for the people who, as we've said, literally aren't going to make the games as individual because either they attempted that and they realize they can't make it, or they're just not at that level anymore, or vice versa. They might be trying to get to that level and they just want some experience, which is fine. But at the end of the day, it's not as exciting as watching the best of the best in the world go against each other. I will accept that teaming will be a bit more exciting this year because you've got a few more well-known names, but still, it's like 3 teams at the same time. It's not interesting. Just give me the individuals head-to-head. And also, these semis are even more stacked. It's literally half the games field. Basically, you can get to watch go head-to-head before the games even happens, and you're not even able to watch 2 of the events. And they're cool events. I know people say, "Oh, the endurance one is going to be boring anyway," but so what? Let's watch it. Let's see what happens.
If we take that first one, I'd love to watch somebody ski way too aggressively, completely blow up, and then somebody have paced it a little bit better and be able to pull past them.
Exactly, I agree. But guess what? You won't be able to see it. So Anna Linda with the dumbbells would be cool, but once again, won't be able to see it. And also, it would be loads of the top guys and girls going against each other. Like, even, I think it's a ladies' field. It's pretty much like half the games field are those ladies. And like the top ladies, it's a very stat ladies' field this first week. Or, no, not is it the East? Or is it
the
East?
East?
Yeah, it is East. Yeah. So, it's super stacked. And you're not even able to watch 2 of their events. It's just so stupid. But yeah, what can you do?
And I think the thing is, they've said they're showing highlights, so I appreciate the point I made, but they are going to have cameras on it.
Exactly.
So,
just film it.
I mean,
I don't understand. I don't understand that point. Like, oh, we're not going to film it, but we're going to film like a highlights package for it. I was like, okay, just film the thing then. Even if it's a shoddy live stream, we already get shoddy live streams. Just give me a shoddier version.
If we talk about my biggest bugbear with live CrossFit that is shown by a video is that they will always just focus on the leader, right? Or they'll focus on a particular individual. Show me the whole floor and I can watch what I want to watch.
Yep.
Okay, I'll be able to figure out who's in what position because CrossFit should set up the event where it's easy to denote what round somebody is in based on where they are in their lane or based on the position of a marker or something similar to that.
Yep.
Just set up one camera and live stream it. Like, if I'm being honest, I'm fully expecting an enterprising individual to do that on their YouTube channel, and I will sit there and watch it because that's like I'm happy to do that.
Yeah, well, 100%
so,
right now.
Like, you can record it. Yeah,
like I say, I think the Savon podcast. Surely someone from there is going to these semis, so. they got their fans who like record things for them. If you've ever watched like their Waterpalooza streams or whatever, there's always someone in the crowd videoing for them. So I'm sure we'll get some low level quality stream, which will be better than nothing.
Depends.
So can't even complain.
Depends what CrossFit allow media to do, I guess.
No, I'm talking about people from like the crowd. Like,
no, I know, but what do they allow those people to do?
Well, I don't know. They can't even do scoring right, so I doubt they're going to have to stop someone showing a live stream. So that's the least of my issues. It's just so stupid.
I know.
It's just ridiculous. And then, like, in the comments, I don't know if you saw the post, CrossFit literally responds to people going like, "Yes, we're listening. We're listening to your points." It's like, okay, then do something about it.
I saw Mike Halpin's response was that CrossFit trying to, like, this is CrossFit trying to professionalize the sport, allegedly, and that it's them trying to encourage more people to turn up in person to the events.
Yeah, I mean, I can get that argument-ish, but at the same time, no. Just like the sport's not at that level yet. So yes, you can extrapolate that out and make a logical argument, but that doesn't really apply to the situation because more people.
Yeah, like I can pull my phone out and watch a full HD stream. Like, why would I bother paying the money to go to watch it in person?
Yeah, but saying that, you would though, because like, if we had one local, we would go watch it. Like, really, if we had one in London, we'd be going to watch it. Most likely. Well, obviously, people
I wouldn't, because I've inadvertently booked a holiday for the worst time of year. But
that's another whole issue. Don't get me started on that. Anyone want to put in a application for co-host for a month period? Feel free to DM us, because Ben's decided for some reason during literally the second busiest time, arguably the busiest if you want to class, because it's over a month period, he's decided to go jet setting across the globe and leave me stranded.
Hey, I've said if I'm allowed to, I'm more than happy to record.
Yeah, fair enough. I'll see it when I believe
I'm
it.
allowed to. Exactly. Welcome to my world. Yeah, exactly. I'm very happy in my relationship. Moving on.
Right, should we talk about the Zach thing quickly? Because honestly, we're getting called out. I'm not going to name this person. I'm so tempted to, but they know who they are if they're listening to us, and I know they're listening to this because they're like a super fan of the show. We're getting called out for bossing it just because we literally lost half our audio and like footage. So hush that person. We're going to talk about it again just to rehash the whole thing. So basically last week or 2 weeks ago even, the news that Zach George had basically pulled out of the team competition and left the team stranded because he basically had signed for a new Gladiator TV show, which for him is, a pretty big deal. But obviously when that happened and the news broke, there was a lot of opinions, let's say, being thrown about on the internet, some good, some bad, but yeah, and then we also have our own opinions on it. I think we should say, I mean, we said this last time, but obviously we have some type of connection to Zach. Like, obviously I've been a member at BFG for a bit, so I know Zach on a personal level, not anywhere near as close that you do, and I'll let Ben speak for himself, but Ben knows him very well. Been with him pretty much all around the world, all his major events, literally been his coach, basically like in the coach's corner for him. So Ben has, been through a lot with Zach. So we do have, you could argue, a more biased standpoint, but I still think our opinions are fairly relevant on this topic. I don't know, Ben, do you want to start?
I think exactly what you said. Obviously, we come from this from a slightly more nuanced position. Like, I obviously didn't know anything about it up until the announcement went out, as much as anyone did. And I think, like, you see opportunities like that, they don't come along that often. It's potentially a life-changing opportunity. I'm not saying that going to the games on a team is not also a potential life-changing opportunity, but it's a potential life-changing opportunity. It is not a guaranteed life-changing opportunity.
And it's not guaranteed they would have made the games as well.
Yeah,
like
exactly.
likely, but not guaranteed either. They still to go to semis.
Yeah,
But
and having seen the workouts, I think it would have been interesting, to say the least.
Mm.
But we'll touch on that when Matthew allows me to talk about team programming, which, given his views on team at this point, I think you know where he stands.
Yeah. Well, I love programming. Like, I love programming. We can talk about the team programming, but just as an interest to watch, it's not always the most exciting thing. I think it's just the people involved. Like, again, as I said, it was a bit more exciting-ish because there's a few bigger names that you sort of know from individual who are now teaming up. But again, it's just a lot of the people you don't know, and it's not like their fault. It's just because they don't do the individual competitions, so they don't get the limelight. So you have no idea who they are, and you have no attachment to them as a fan.
Indeed.
So it's just hard to get invested in a team. So that's just But that's a whole different. Let's just get back on track, right? The Zach thing.
So obviously, like the team has been let down. That the team had plans for this season that now they're not able to fulfill due to the fact they don't have a reserve. You can say that that's probably an oversight, but from what I've seen, like the understanding was that they were going in as a team. It was going to be those four. It wasn't going to be anyone else. So whatever happened, be it injury, be it somebody pulling out because they couldn't do X, Y, or Z, it would have. That's the decision that they were going to stick by, and that's the decision that they made at the start of the season. So, yes, it's a shame, and like I feel for. I feel for the team members, and I think they all do. Like Will was close to qualifying for not individual age group semi-finals, but I think there was an error with one of his workouts and he got docked a load of points. So he might have made it through and then potentially would have done quite well in a number of those workouts. And potentially like had an avenue there. Nicole's got a number of different events coming up, but I think this is and Janie, I think she's got a couple of things coming up as well, from what I've seen. But regardless, I think from my perspective, like, yes, I appreciate. I do a podcast on CrossFit. I spend 2.5 to 3 hours a day in the CrossFit gym. I obsess over CrossFit and I quite like it. But there are bigger things in this world to focus on, and I think, I obviously don't get it as a sort of semi-professional athlete how that sort of impact can be taken, but I think you when you consider the wider context of a decision that you're making for yourself and your family, like I completely get it, and I'm completely aligned to it. So that's my stance on it. Jason CF Media, as Matt said, put a very nuanced piece together, significantly less nuanced than another CrossFit YouTube personality and Mr. Hiller had put together, which was an interesting one. So yeah, I'd suggest going and taking that out, because I feel like that's much more of a neutral perspective than you're probably going to get here. I empathize with the team. I really, really do. It's a really tough position for them to be in, but equally, like, I can completely understand the decision and why Zach took it.
Yeah. Fair enough.
In terms of other team news,
we're not going to give my
CrossFit
opinion.
Rotherham.
Cheers, boss.
Oh, sorry. Yeah, I thought you were giving your opinion. Yeah, off you go. Go
on. I mean, when the news broke, and I was like, well, that's a bit peak for the team. Not gonna lie, probably not the best look for Zach. And there was a lot of hate getting thrown at him, which, I mean, from their perspectives, it's not. They don't know any different. To them, they have just seen a guy basically sack off his team for a bigger opportunity, and they're basically trying to defend like the teammates who were sort of let down, I suppose. But then obviously, like, when we speak, there's a lot of things behind the scenes that made the whole situation just really awkward in general. There's like a lot of NDAs, and like just not just poor communication. That's what I said on the last when we recorded it last. Just poor communication all round, which made the whole situation just awkward to manage. And then yeah, as Ben said, look, at the end of the day, CrossFit, there's not that many financial opportunities, especially coming from team, and you're probably like not going to be like a super team that's going to go and dominate and get all this limelight. You're literally just going for basically yourself and to tick off a goal, which in itself is very admirable and is a real thing for a lot of people. But at the same time, Zach also had a new baby and he's got a family to look after. So when you get an opportunity like that, it would be quite crazy to turn it down. It's just really unfortunate the way it all turned out and the timing of everything as well. Because like the timing of the filming, I believe, is exactly the same time as the Europe semis. So if that was like on different weekends or like a month apart, literally this would be not even an issue. So again, that hasn't helped the situation either. Literally just a timing clash in scheduling. No, I just didn't think he wanted to do just have to let them down. But just the way things panned out, it's just unfortunate. But people are going to say what they're going to say. Again, no one else is in his position as well. So there's a lot of people who say this stuff, but if they're in his position, probably would have done exactly the same thing as him. But yeah, if you watch that Jason CrossFit Media thing, he actually made a fair point that he actually messaged the team, other individuals, and most of them seem actually more okay with it than other people, like who are trying to defend them, almost like just people making comments and things. Like I said, the actual teammates themselves are more accepting of the situation, probably because they know maybe deep down that they would have done the same thing as well, and it's not the end of the world, and it is just CrossFit. But yeah, it wasn't the best situation. But yeah, that's it really. What can you say? Like everyone's gonna have a different opinion on it. My overall opinion.
I think
not great all round, but at the end of the day, Zach's just doing, I suppose, what was best for him, and he definitely wasn't trying to let down his teammates. It was just really unfortunate with all the whole overall situation. But yeah, that's it really. So
I think we're both on the same page on this. Like it's you don't have, nobody would begrudge a footballer moving to a new club where he gets, a whole host of things attributed to moving to that new club. It's like I guess it's a similar sort of situation you can paint there. Going for a big contract or whatever. Not that it might necessarily be a big contract. I don't actually know. I don't know why I'm saying that. But yeah, it's it is what it is at the end of the day. But to compound that news, there was some news came out this week from CrossFit Rotherham, who actually qualified, I think it was in third out of the team quarterfinals, heading into Europe from Europe. They unfortunately have lost one of their females, Sapphire Goddard, who I think she's torn her ACL. So she's gone into surgery already, so they've had to call up a replacement for her, which is Alexandra Dimitriou, who was listed as an alternate. So they were able to use her. So that definitely puts a dent in their chances. Because obviously it's happened fairly close. I think they're quite lucky in the fact that Berlin is the final. What's it called? The final event, so they kind of get an idea of what timings and things they're going to need to ensure that they're in the best possible position. Obviously, depending on her strengths and weaknesses, where they need to really, really push hard and where they can, sort of do some damage limitation a little bit as well. So, yeah, I think they were sort of like the best UK hope really going into it. But we'll see how that goes heading into Berlin as well.
Yep. Cool. Right. Should we get into the good stuff then? The semi-finals programming.
Go on then.
I'm sorry, poor people, for boring you for the last hour. We're now finally getting into the actual bit.
How the hell have we recorded this for an hour? I've got things to do this evening.
Oh dear, we're finally at the interesting bit, but it's okay.
Yes, and we're finally going to talk about the team workouts.
No.
Semi-finals are back. Thank you, CrossFit website. First workout, 3K echo bike, hand over hand pull, 84 feet, 2K assault air runner, hand over hand pull, 84 feet, 1K ski erg, hand over hand pull, 92 feet, female weight 180 pounds, male weight 225 pounds with a time cap of 30 minutes. Tell me what you're thinking.
Well, obviously on the surface, it's just a like fairly aerobic test, I suppose you could say. Obviously, we don't know how that sled is going to play out on the floor. Is it going to be? I know they've got the weights in there, but if it's on a sticky floor, it's going to feel a lot heavier than the 225 and 180 pound sled. If it's on a very easy floor, it might feel right. It's hard to say. You just don't know what the type of sled they're going to use, what the surface is. So that literally plays a massive factor. Because time domain wise, if you look at that simply, be like, oh, that's just literally just all machines and a waste of time of doing this random sled pull. If it's going to slide along really quickly, and you're going to be what? If it slides along very quickly, you're going to be there for what? I don't know, 15, 20 seconds, basically doing a sled pull for 3 sets. It's basically pointless compared to if it's like really sticky and you could get, and it might take like, almost close to a minute. And if it's really heavy and a sludge to pull. So it'll be interesting to see how it plays out. I don't mind it. It's just a pretty classic, like a long endurance start to a weekend of a CrossFit event. I mean, we can reference it later on, but when we look down the line for the first 4 workouts, it does have a similar feel to the 2018 regionals, which was 333 for event 1 back in the day, and that was the was it 3K row, 300 dubs, and then a 3-mile run. So obviously it's not exactly the same workout, but that type of longer time domain aerobic work. Yeah, I don't think it's a bad workout. It's probably the least exciting on paper of movements and time of all the events, but that doesn't mean it would be a boring workout to watch. It's still always interesting just to see how the athletes attack the machines, and who paces well, and who can go at a really aggressive pace, and maybe that backfires and all that jazz. So it can still be exciting, and it'll be a good watch to see people. I believe Roman and Hopper in the same semis, and they're like basically the 2 of the best on machines. And in this type of workout, I wouldn't be surprised to see them literally go toe for toe, which would be an exciting watch. But we won't be able to watch it anyway, so it doesn't even matter.
And that'll be mention 1 of the next 10 mentions that Matthew has of how much he hates CrossFit for the decisions that they've made regarding the viewing of all of the workouts.
Is it wrong? It's fair, isn't it?
No, it's not wrong. I'm just saying, it's all right. Anyway, I think this workout pretty much does just come down to the hand over hand pull. How that is structured, how it looks, what sort of limitations are placed on athletes as well, what sort of penalties. So if you imagine it's a hand over hand pull, your feet have to remain where they are. That completely changes that. Like, it turns into essentially like a horizontal pull, right? And that's completely different than it would be if you were able to just get like a big old lean back with it. Really, step back, use your legs a little bit more, have some space to maneuver. Like, if you don't have any of that, then it makes things a little bit more different. But yeah, I'm excited for it. I think it's I don't necessarily get the variance on the different machines, really. Like, does it make that much difference? I think it's just it feels like they could have been spread across the other events a little bit better, but what do I know? Given the fact that we have, what is it, 7 machine usages or whatever, according to JR?
7, Echo, Assault, Ski, we've got Run twice, we've got the Echo again, and I've got the Row. Yeah, so I saw 7 monostructural is what you meant, not like just machine. But But yeah, we'll
Yeah,
get into it. The
yeah,
last workout also has the Echo Bike, which I mean, you could look at. Then what's the point of having it here again? It's a bit random. I think could have just been. I saw Bible spin put up. Could have just been ski, run, ski, which I mean could have been quite interesting.
yeah,
Or
yeah,
could just been ski through all of it because you've got a bit of running coming. I know it's a shorter run later on, like a sprint, but having running twice as well. But then I suppose the argument for that is if you have lots of running at the games, you might as well get people there who can actually be all right running as well, not just test it at the games and let people sneak through who haven't even been tested at that type of modality yet. Yeah, be interested to see how it plays out. I don't know if I agree that it's all on about the sled pull because the machine is still a bit of time. I know these guys are all elite and can hold good paces, but you can still make up. If you made up 5 seconds each machine, that's still 15 seconds. That will play a factor. But
yeah. But I think the separation that you'll get based on technique on the hand over hand pull is going to be huge.
yeah,
Is my view of it. Like
yeah,
having watched people do that before, and like we go back to the greatest hand over hand pull event that CrossFit has ever done. That gave us the single greatest Josh Bridges celebration photo ever. Um, I think like you saw the difference there in how people were doing it. Who had the best placing for their feet on the sandbags or worms that were placed in front of them. Like it's like things like that make a huge difference. They shouldn't, but they do. So seeing how much wiggle room you have in terms of how you can do this, I think is probably what's really interesting for me.
yeah. Well, that's the thing. Like, we don't know how it's gonna be forced to perform. So yeah, it will still play a role, but it depends how much, depending on the standards, and again, like the surface and the type of sled they use. Because there's different types of sleds, and they all will feel a bit different. And the rope depends what the rope is. It could be if it's a short rope and you have to like actually you can only pull it 20 feet and then have to run out at 20 feet again to pull it again, rather than just one long,
Yeah,
super long
yeah,
rope. Again, that's a difference as well. So
mm.
there's lots of little factors that
Yeah.
aren't really in the details, but we will find out how that goes down next week. Right, number 2, we have as many reps as possible in 3 minutes of 5 ring complexes, and one ring complex is 1 toes to ring, 1 muscle up, and 1 ring dip into 20 single leg squats, and then into max burpees over a box. You complete 3 rounds, resting 1 minute between rounds, and your score is total reps across the 3 rounds. And a little twist is you have to wear a ruck. So for the ladies, it's a 10-pound ruck to a 24-inch box, and the guys, it's a 20-pound ruck to a 30-inch box. Very interesting. I think it's the first type of workout we've seen in a semi-final / regional format like this type of AMRAP, max reps, reset type workout. And it's just basically pure gymnastics, weighted gymnastics as well. And the ring complex, again, is quite new. But yeah, very interesting. I mean, again, this just scream Boz and his gymnastics bias. I don't know. I still quite like it though. Like, it's a bit different. Again, there's a few details we don't know. Like 20 single leg squats, is that alternating? Is that 10 and 10? And the max burpees over box, is that actual jump or can you use your hands? So be interested to see how that actually plays out. But yeah, what do you think, Ben?
I think depending on how that hand over hand pull goes in the first one, like people's grip is going to be toasty heading into this, because I imagine everyone will go out will be feeling pretty fresh. What the toes to ring does is it extends the time that you'd have as part of the complex. Like I kind of thought we were going to see muscle up plus ring dips, etc. But I wasn't 100% sure if we were going to see toes to ring, muscle up, ring dips, as an example. So yeah, that's I think going to be quite.
Jeff?
I think what makes me a little bit sadder is that on this one as well, it's only 3 rounds. Yeah, like you can't really do too much damage to yourself in those 3 rounds. it's the same thing. Like, Boz is so focused on execution that he doesn't really care about what your capacity is. He cares more about, like, can you do things right and can you do things fast, as opposed to can you do things for a sustained period of time and get as many reps as possible in that time.
You do say that.
It's kind of how I see this.
Yeah, I do agree that it's only 3 rounds, but also it's interesting. I think through testing, he probably found, because 5 ring complex is not a lot. It's only going to be 15 muscle ups. Is that right? Yeah, 15. So obviously you got the toes ring and the dip in there, but it's not a huge amount of that type of volume that these athletes can handle. Same for the squats. It's only 60 in total. Obviously they're wearing the ruck, so yes, that is going to play a factor. But I think they're actually going to go quite fast here at that. They're going to have a lot of time on the burpees, and I think when you're racing burpees, as we all know, burpees are quite gassy, and you've got a ruck on, and you're going over quite a high inch box. It's literally, I think I play a massive factor, and I think the classic 1 minute rest is never enough. You think it's enough, but it's not enough to be fully recovered. Yeah. So I think the athletes are going to be feeling it from round 2 onwards. They're going to go out so hot, and yeah, it'll be interesting. I think it'll be quite a good race. Yeah. So
if it's soft boxes and you just have to clear the box, you have to clear that height, no hands or anything like that. Yeah, then I kind of get it.
What do you mean clear? As in like burpee, jump onto it and over, or actually over the box?
Burpees over box, don't touch the box.
Well, that's very different then, because I'm leaning towards the hands on box, which will let you really sprint through it. But
I like knowing but like if we think back to that games workout last year, where it had the jumps over things, I'm kind of envisaging it as similar to that.
And maybe the pistols are in there to deliberately, fry your hip flexors and your legs a bit, so it makes that jump over the box harder.
Yeah,
as well. So yeah, fair point. Yeah. Yep. I mean, I wouldn't be surprised either way, but yeah, just suppose we'll find out again next week. At least we get to watch that one. Yeah, that'll be good.
Workout 3.
Workout 3. Right, we go. Semi-finals, Linda. 10 down to 1 of deadlifts, dumbbell bench presses, and squat cleans. The deadlift weight for the ladies is 220 pounds. For the men, it's 295. The dumbbell weight for the bench is 60 pounds for ladies and 90 pounds for the guys. And the clean weight for the ladies is 105 pounds and 145 pounds for the guys. So I really like it. It's a good strength endurance test. A longer time cap again. Very interesting to have the dumbbells in there, and they are heavy. That is heavy dumbbells. That's 40 kg dumbbells, one on each hand. So that is, I think, it'll play out very differently on the bench compared to 2018 when they had the bench press, but that was just a bar. And those top guys literally just, not even top guys, like almost everyone just rattled through it quite easily. And also the dumping is a lot safer, and you can save more time dumping a barbell. Whereas if you want to dump your dumbbells, that's going to be a faff just to pick them up and then reset again. So it's going to be interesting to see what the strategy is leading into them. I assume people are going to want to try go for one set, but obviously, let's say the round of 8, 7, 6 is obviously a key bit at that point, because if you fail and have to go 4-3 on the 7, you're probably wasting a bit of time, and that could cost you a few spots, and it all adds up by the end of the competition. So I don't know what your thoughts are about it.
Yeah, I think I don't know what I was expecting. I was maybe expecting the fact that, look, if you're calling it semi-finals Linda, maybe change the loading a bit. So standard Linda's, it's body weight and a half, deadlift, body weight bench, and 3/4 body weight squat clean. I think the obviously shifting it to 90-pound dumbbells does make it significantly harder. I think we're not going to see anyone probably beat the top times from Linda in 2018, just because of the length of time that it takes to get those dumbbells set up in position. And yeah, I think it's just like we saw this, it ends up being a running transitions workout, really, more than anything. You've got what?
Yeah.
How many are we talking? 30 odd transitions?
Around that, yeah.
More than that?
That's a lot. It's a lot of running, especially from the rounds of 5 down to 1,
It's
where you're going to be going definitely unbroken, and you've got to move quick between each rep.
Yeah.
So that is like a hidden element.
Yeah, exactly.
In there. So, I mean, I think it's a good workout. Saying that, I do agree with your semi-final point about maybe change it a bit. I would have actually loved if they kept the dumbbell bench press, because that's new, change the deadlifts to kettlebell deadlifts, a heavy kettlebell, and then change the squat cleans to sandbag cleans. So it is still Linda-ish, but it's just different implements, and it's still the same rep scheme.
Yeah. No, I like that.
You could even do the same weight.
I like
that. You can even do like maybe 300 pounds, but like both kettlebells are 150. And then so the guys and their kettlebells just looks a bit different. And you got the dumbbell, and then you got the squat. You don't even have to do squat cleans. You can just do power cleans with the sandbag, and you just make a 150-pound sandbag for the guys. And then what's the women's sandbag? What's the women's weight? 100 pounds.
150, 100.
Yeah. So I think that would look quite cool as like a little twist on it, and just kept the same rep scheme as a different way of doing it.
That'd be nice.
Yeah. So. A
little bit less.
Yeah, exactly.
A little bit less quaddy.
Want some advice? Just call me up. It would, less squatting. That's the only thing. You'd probably have to change out the workouts to fit that in, because you take out a lot of the squatting volume.
I saw Rainhill's programmed sandbag squat cleans today.
Oh yeah,
and I was like,
you can
do it.
Yeah, you could do. I mean, I would not be against it. I would have loved that. 150-pound sandbag squat cleans would have been really savage. I'm not against that at all. That would be a really cool workout, I think. A really good twist on Linda. But again, doesn't matter.
I think time cap is 17 minutes, probably a little bit tight for the sandbag squat cleans as well, right?
Yeah, you won't be able to touch and go it as well. I mean, saying that, these top guys can manhandle the 150 bag. If you remember the Atlas Games last year, the one with Velna, I think Jeff had won that one. They had the Toza Bar sandbag event, and they literally moved that sandbag so easily. It was actually a joke. I tried that workout afterwards. Like, how did they move this fast? Like, it was actually ridiculous. But anyway, moving on to test 4.
Is it test 4 or is it test 5?
Sorry, test 4 and 5 as well. Okay. Technically, there is 7 on the thing. So we're on test 4/test 5. But test 4, the first one of the two-parter is for load. Run 800 meters and then a max snatch. And then you will have a 6-minute cap to do that. And then following the cap, you have a 2-minute reset/rest. And then event 5 is a bit of an inverse. It is 4-time 8 snatches, 125 pounds for the ladies, 185 pounds for the guys, into an 800 meter run. Again, same time cap, 6 minutes. I don't know about you, but I thought this was very surprising. Actually, no, I didn't know what you thought. You called it, and you were like, "Oh yeah, I'm fucking the smartest guy ever." Via our WhatsApp chat, I think the quote was, "I love it." It's like, God, I love it when I'm right.
If you want to put that on me as being the smartest man in the world, it's a burden that I will carry.
How was your self-proclaimed? When this workout came out. I'll be honest. I didn't see something like this coming out, but Ben pretty much called it. So fair play.
He loves running. He loves lifting. We haven't seen a snatch yet. Well, we have, but we haven't. If that makes sense. It makes sense. Like, what does concern me on this? Number one, tie break on the max snatch. I'm hoping that's just gonna be on the 800. And so that determines like where you are.
Yeah.
How much, also how the 800 meter run is done. It better not be shuttles.
Yeah,
that's all I'm gonna say.
Yeah, well, it's either gonna be shuttles, and it's gonna be 16. Is it 50 foots or whatever it is, or 16, whatever the distance was. Of those
25 meters.
Yeah. Or it's going to be, if it is a loop, that'd be quite cool. Hopefully it's like a big enough loop, or it could be really embarrassing if it's a small loop and it looks like they're playing musical chairs and they're literally just running around like a really small circle. That'd be really funny if it was literally like a 10-meter loop. And then when they finish their lap sessions, then they just disperse out to their barbells.
Everyone's like, bring back shuttles. Shuttles are much better than this shit.
Yeah. I don't know if it will. Yeah, obviously a loop would be cool. Like if it was a decent-ish loop, like even like a indoor, let's say, even like a 250-ish meter track,
Yeah,
even a
yeah, yeah,
200-meter track, would be
yeah,
enough to like make it visually look quite cool. We've never seen like
yeah,
something like that apart from ish. We saw the 500-meter sprint at the games
yeah.
2 years ago. Um, but that'd be quite cool. Yeah, if it is shuttles, I mean, it's a shame, but it is what it is. But as a test, it's interesting because I don't know, like we just Linda is like I know it's not a pure strength test, but it is strength endurance and it's not light. So I know the run plays a factor as well. But in this first one for loads, most of these
It
guys
does.
are gonna,
Like, come on.
yeah, they're just gonna pace it and they're gonna set themselves up for a heavy snatch. Like, I still think we're gonna see some big numbers, even if they run 800 meters before. Um, Obviously, part
But
two
I
is
like
very
what?
different, but you go.
Yeah, but like my concern is like, okay, what's the scoring on this? Like, is it 250 pointers across
Yeah,
both, or is it
well,
100
that,
points each? Because
yeah,
if it's
that,
100 points each, then like you can basically sew up your qualification by two really good placements here because it favors the type of athlete you are.
yep, I do agree. I mean, it's interesting. I do understand that point because, um, yeah, but at the same time, obviously, the max load one is a bit different to if you're good enough to cycle, but you're not got a true good 1 rep max, and you can make up points again on the second part where it's more about the run. So even if it was 200 points, it'll be interesting to see how much that affected the leaderboard. Because I'm trying to think of like some
Mm,
examples of who's a really good runner and a pretty strong guy. Like let's say Jason Hopper. Jason Hopper's a pretty good runner, and he's pretty strong. So it'll be interesting to see what he puts up on the max and then how he performs on the 800. And then I'm trying to think, but then if you're like a super strong
mm,
guy who's not a great runner, okay, Sam Dancer's not in this competition, but imagine if he was, yeah, he probably put up a pretty good max on the load. But for the 800, for the second part, he's probably not putting up a great time because everyone can still touch and go that 185. He's not going to get a competitive advantage from that, and he's going to be slow on the run compared to others. So I do agree
mm.
with your point. It'd just be interesting to see how it plays out and what the correlation is between the placements in those two events back to back. I definitely think it's better balanced than when we had the clean ladder with the runs, where it was literally the same event back to back with like just a slight increase in load, and it was both 100 points. That was so dumb,
Yeah,
but yeah, it'll be interesting. Again, I was very surprised it was a snatch in terms of the barbell as well. I thought we are going to see heavy dumbbell snatches just because the teams had it in
yeah.
their programming with the heavy dumbbell, and we had the heavy dumbbell. So I thought if snatch did come out, it would have been with the heavy dumbbells. So yeah, I was quite surprised to see it
Mm.
snatch come out in this format. But yeah,
Yeah, I don't know. I'm just. It's going to be great to watch, but is it a sensible test that we should still be using to separate people at the stage? I don't know.
good point.
That's what my major concern is.
Yeah. Well, again, like overview of positive programming, talk about it afterwards, but like it's a bit of execution as well. Like the distance isn't, I suppose, a lot of these guys. There'll be a few outliers who are very good runners, but a lot of them aren't. Obviously, they're not like world class 800-meter runners. So a lot of them are going
Yeah,
to be again pretty set in their pace and probably have a very similar pace to each other. So it'll just come down to literally
yeah,
execution on the night of
yeah,
who can literally put up a good performance on that run and the snatch as well. And you're not gonna have many attempts at that snatch. I think 3. I know Jay on them said 4, but I think 4 was quite
max.
a lot
Yeah,
because you can probably run the 800
yeah,
in maybe conservatively like a 340 to a 345 ish to a 4 minutes. You can have 2 minutes ish for a max
mm,
snatch, and you're going to be a bit gassed. So 4 attempts in the 2 minute window is quite a lot. You probably didn't push a run that fast. I don't
yeah,
know. It'd be interesting. It depends what weights you're hitting as well. But I still think we're going to see some very heavy weights. Um,
yeah, yeah, yeah. Most definitely, most
right.
definitely.
Test 6. This is an interesting one. We have a very interesting chipper. So it's full time. You have 20 overhead squats. The weight is 125 for the ladies and 185 for the guys. And it's a 500-meter row, and then 3 handstand walk pirouettes, 2 seated legless rope climbs, 20 strict chest to wall handstand push-ups, and then back down again. So it's 2 seated legless, 3 handstand walk pirouettes, 500-meter row, and 20 overhead squats. I quite like it. I think it's going to be a pretty cool workout. Very technical with a bit of weight. I've got a random row chucked in there for a bit, which I mean probably just to get you gassed a bit. But I think it's going to come down to those 20 overhead squats at the end. Obviously, we don't know. Again, there's so much small details we don't know. We don't know what the handstand pirouette is going to look like. We don't know what the seated legless rope climbs are going to look like. So they could play obviously a huge factor. We don't even know what the strict handstand push-ups are going to look like on the wall facing. Like they could for the handstand pirouettes, it could either just be literally 3 turns in a box or 1 turn in a box, walk 15 foot and do that 3 times. For the seated legless, it could literally just be start from a seated position and then just do a normal legless. Or what I think most people are thinking, it's going to be a bit harder than that. It's going to be from a seated position, then you have to legless up and then legless control descent back under like a certain tape line. 2 seated legless also could mean a double. There is stuff from the CrossFit journals about a double. They're called like what are they called, like just double climbs or something. But anyway, they were basically just 2 for 1 rope climbs. So 1 rep was a double and it was legless. So it could be that. So it could
The
be
legless descent as well.
Yeah, and it could be 2 of those. So even though it says 2 legless, it could be 4 if it's a double. But I don't think it is. I think it'd be 2. I just think it's going to be 2 really hard standard legless, and it's going to be from that seated position with. I think it'd just be a controlled negative descent where you can't just drop down. You'd have to do a controlled descent and then get below a certain tape line. Let's say, I don't know, 4 foot off the ground at the bottom before that's like the full rep completed. Again, the wall facing could be off a deficit. We don't know. 20 doesn't seem like a lot just for no deficit. But at the same time, you do a lot of work to get there. And the 3 handstand walk pirouettes could take a bit off your shoulders. So 20 could be enough because on the back end, when you're coming back to it as well, it might be enough. Like there was only 21 in the quarters. So some people argue maybe there should be a progression of that. And obviously the actual volume itself is 1 rep less, but maybe in the whole context of the test and the weekend, 20 is enough, or there is some details missing and it could be like a slight deficit or something. But yeah, what are your thoughts, Ben?
I don't get the row.
Yeah.
I think Boz sort of fails to understand that you can put a movement in and just to drive the heart rate up, but it doesn't necessarily have to be a movement that is a machine. That is a cardio machine, if that makes sense. Like you can do any sort of basic movement that would help to elevate the heart rate, but might also contain a little bit of localized muscle fatigue, something like a burpee or heck, like dumbbell hand clean and jerks, dumbbell snatches, something similar to that, but without a heavy weight would produce and elicit the same effect without just arbitrarily throwing a rower in there which feels like it's just not being used for much.
I'll tell you what would be good movement in there: 50 GHDs, because that would play a big factor, especially on the back
legless
end.
rope climbs,
and the legless, and then coming back end,
and the overhead squats,
exactly. Especially that last set, if you had to do 50 and then go into 20 overhead squats, I think that'd be a much better implement in there out of things that haven't been used. But yeah, I agree. The row is basically just pointless.
Because I think the thing is, like, you can make the argument that he's trying to create a race at the end, right? With 20 overhead squats at 185 for a male, and the 500-meter row. So you finish your 3 handstand walk pirouettes, and it's like, okay, like I need to put the hammer down and go here now. Yeah. But you can't do that with 20 overhead squats at 84 kilos or whatever it is.
Not at the end,
no. Like if it was, I think even if it was 60, you'd probably get guys like who'd be like, okay, you know what? Yes, I can hold on for this. That means that I can row, a sub 135 maybe, and like really send it here, knowing that I trust my capacity to hold on to that bar, which creates that sort of. And I think this is the thing, is that we now get like I feel like I'm arguing the point of how do we turn these tests into spectacles for the spectators, right?
Hmm.
And that's what that would do for me, is that this, like, I feel like you're just going to have a lot of people just sitting staring at ropes and sitting staring at walls, which is fine as part of the test, but
Yeah. Yeah, I agree. It's a tough balance between a good
yeah,
test for like these great athletes and also making it interesting enough for the fans to enjoy. Which is, I mean, this is a tough thing though with Boz's type of programming because he's testing way more high skill stuff. High skill stuff
yeah,
requires more focus and attention and slowing things down to execute them correctly to get your reps. Whereas a lot of Castro's classic programming it was just capacity. And there was obviously skills in there, but the
mm,
underlying factor to everything was basically just your general capacity. And it was always a race. There was very little of I need to slow down, really concentrate, and execute XYZ movement really well.
yeah, yeah,
Whereas like this type of workout is just all that again, execution, not blowing up, staying just below your threshold on your like gymnastic capacity. I mean, it is a good workout.
which, yeah, don't get me
Yeah,
wrong, I appreciated this in the Open as I was able to make it to quarterfinals, but when we get to this stage, I kind of want to see, I want to see athletes compete, and
yeah, yeah. I
it's
mean, it
dictated
is.
to by their muscle endurance. It's not
Yeah,
dictated to by a huge amount of, like, yeah, there's going to be degrees of strategy, but we're talking about 3 handstand walk pirouettes, 2 seated legless rope climbs, and then, like, it's not a I'm not having to break up my 50 GHDs, as you might have said on that
yeah,
first round, that then means that I'm in a better position to do X, Y, or Z. Like, it's a weird one for me at this point.
yeah. I don't know. I'll still be a good like because there'll be some people who will perform really well and won't be bottlenecked at all, and there will be a race
Yeah,
for
yeah,
them.
yeah, yeah,
But yeah, you're going to see
yeah,
this
100%.
will be the greatest like disparity between the top who can literally just race through it, don't feel that
Yeah,
high level muscular fatigue. Then there'll be others who really struggle. I would not be surprised if there's people get capped close to around that. I mean, it's quite long. 15 minutes actually isn't that long. Honestly, if they're really struggling, back on that 3 handstand walk pirouettes, if they're really blown up from the chest to wall
yeah,
handstand
yeah.
push ups, the last 2 legless, and then into that, they could actually struggle. And
Mm,
it will be a good race. Like the 20 overhead squats at the end at that weight is tough. Like, I think honestly, we're going to see something similar to the first workout from Wadapalooza this year, where it was the
yeah,
muscle up and then the squat variation workout, whatever it was,
yeah,
21 back
yeah.
squat, 15 front, and a 9 overhead, a quite
9
heavy weight.
overhead.
It
Yeah,
was like
yeah,
235 or something. It was like something
yeah,
quite heavy for the guys.
yeah. And I suppose that's the thing, is that, like, you there is an element of skill in determining how fast you're going to row that second 500 meters to know what your capacity is with those overhead squats, and where you're going to get to.
Yeah, I think it will be good.
But
Like,
yeah, and
yeah,
I do like it as a test.
yeah,
I
and I
do.
think the race
Um,
I think we could get maybe some iconic moments actually from this year in terms of those 20 overhead squats. So say you get 3 athletes within 2 reps of each other, and they're in their
yeah,
positions. Like, am I gonna go unbroken be really really impressive at that point of the workout? But am I gonna do 2 sets? Am I gonna go like 12-8, or am I gonna try go
mm,
12, drop it to the right back, stand there with it on my back for a bit, and then reset it overhead and try bosh them out without dropping it?
yeah,
Or is a guy going to fold and then he's going to drop it and then he's going to snatch it again? And then is he going to maybe do 5, then drop it again and then lose a few places? Shout out Pat Fellner at Wadapalooza. But so I think, yeah, but I know what you mean. It's going to be a slow race, even though the time cap's short. There's a
yeah,
lot of work to get through. It's going to be one of those plod along methodically rather than let's just race and go hard.
yeah.
But not every workout needs to be like that either. So, and it's just highlighting Boz's bias for
Style. Yeah,
yeah, like just that gymnastic skill, which is fine. As he said, we're so far behind in terms of gymnastics compared to our weightlifting that needs to be brought up, which is fair enough. It's a fair point. So you can't call yourself.
but he's brought the weightlifting up as well.
Not really. I wouldn't say anything's actually changed in the weightlifting. It's
I
the
think I
weight's
think
not
I think
crazy,
I
crazy.
think I feel like semis is heavier than it was last year.
Well, last year wasn't really standardized either, and I
Uh,
wouldn't argue that because there was literally the one standardized event was also that clean complex, which some people went ridiculously heavy on.
Yeah, but
Well,
that's a conversation for a different time.
yeah. Well, it's a fair.
We'll see when we get to the end. But I feel like there's been greater exposure to heavier loads over the
Yeah, like
last.
there is, but not anything crazy. Like
Hmm.
it's 185. Like the snatches, like again, in the workout 5, wherever it is, the 8 snatches, that's touch and go for those top guys. That's not even the top guys. I'm sorry, there's average level quarterfinalists who can touch and go 185 for 8 reps. That's not anything crazy at this point, really. Which again shows a point of that the weightlifting is a bit still progressed. What you say, me? What?
No, I'm just gonna say, like, don't do yourself down. You're not just an average quarterfinalist athlete, you know.
Well, I actually did 9 unbroken, so I'm better than average quarterfinalist.
I'm just slightly above average, so
I really wanted 10 in that workout. That was so annoying. Failing in the last one. Shout out 2022 quarterfinals. What was it? Last event.
Yeah.
But yeah, so I don't know. It's I don't know.
I think it's a good test. I think we're seeing some interesting things. I think I've just got a little bit of Boz fatigue at this point. I'm just like, just let them switch off and just race. You know?
Be careful what you wish for, because Castro is back in his position that he used to be in, so he could be programmed in games anytime soon. He's basically Boz's right hand man. They've literally just switched roles. Basically,
is
he? He is. He's a.
I thought he was at training.
No, he is, but he's also apparently behind the scenes. He's basically just helping Boz, pretty much. So
fair enough.
They've literally just switched roles, basically. So yeah, but we shall see.
Interesting.
But you say this, like, I know Castro obviously left, but you remember the last year he was in charge, they did have the weird freestanding handstand push-up event with the deadlifts. That was heavy deadlifts and the weird handstanding push-ups. And maybe that was Boz's idea. Maybe that was one of Boz's workouts if they work close together. But if that's Castro in charge, it maybe could have shown things to come, and he just didn't. Maybe it's just Boz is just now the face of what's happening. But maybe Castro was going to start leaning towards that anyway. So I don't know.
Yeah,
it's interesting because they probably had conversations.
And we do see CrossFit evolve over time, right? You know, like the 2014 games doesn't look anything like the 2021 games. And it's completely shifted from where it was then to what it is now.
Yeah. But then I also think Boz, as I said, don't get used to a pattern, because everyone's now assuming. Cause I know he's bringing out a lot of gymnastics, and this has been quite a strong theme from this season. But he said, don't expect a pattern, and like he's proved it with no jump rope in this one. Honestly, so many people were just betting on double cross unders for the individuals, which is a fair bet because it's for the teams, and you just expect there to be some type of jump rope, but it's not even a jump rope. So, expert trolling from Boz there. Right, let's move on to event 7. The finale. 3 rounds for time of a 15 cow echo bike for the guys, 10 cows for the ladies, into 20 toes to bar, and then into a 60-foot sandbag bear hug carry. And the weight is 150 for the ladies and 200 pounds for the guys. 6-minute time cap, so it's a short little sprint. I think they're going to absolutely murk this event. I don't think this is a hard event at all for these top guys. I know it is, like, it's going to be tough. It's going to hurt. It's going to be like a spicy one. But for these top guys, I'll just be shocked if they start breaking things up or anything. So
I think, but I think it's going to be the cumulative fatigue.
Yeah, I do agree.
Yeah, from the weekend where they think, I think this is the pace that I can hold on this workout. And then you get to the middle of round 3 and your grip has completely gone on the toes to bar from holding onto the sandbag. And you're like, oh, what has happened? Like, what have I done? I can't believe I've done this type of thing. So yeah, I think it's a good finish. I think I joked to you when it was released that CrossFit media team have been on to Boz and said, look, we saw Rogue get all that top tier content of people falling over the finish line, and we need to get that. We need to get that engagement on our Instagram because we're missing that at the
Yeah.
moment.
I mean, I think it's going to be exciting. I know you said it's maybe a bit gimmicky,
It is going to be exciting. It is,
but
yeah,
it's going to be if
yeah,
it's on the line and you've got X, Y, Z up against each other for a game spot, and they're literally
yeah,
trundling towards a line carrying this big bag, and one stumbles like 5 meters short. That is going to be big drama. But yeah, the only thing is like
it
how do
is,
they enforce like the standard of, is it the bag that crosses the line, or
yeah,
is it you holding the bag with your foot across the line on the chip timer, or is it you dumping the bag over the line? You don't even need to be past the line, because that was the thing at Rogue. Like the standard wasn't very clear. They didn't really know if you just had to get
yeah,
the bag across or yourself across with the bag. And then some people do a hybrid and they dump the
indeed.
bag and dive across. So it's hard to say what the standard is going to be. I think it's going to be you have to get fully across a line with your bag. I believe will be the standard. I doubt they'll just let you dump the bag over a line or something. But yeah, I agree. Yeah, like
Well,
obviously the
no,
volume.
because if it's 60 foot, then that means that you cross the finish line, unless you're just moving it down the field as you go to indicate which round you're on, which would make sense. Actually, no, because it'll be there and back,
No,
won't it?
yeah. There's the thing also because the field they've got two fields to play. So that first event with the longer floor on the sled pool with the 84 foot is actually a different field, or I say
Right.
field, like a
Okay.
different venue. Whereas this one I believe is going to be on a different floor, because that's why they
Yeah.
can't film 1 and 3, because 1 and 3 are going to be on that other floor, whereas these ones are
Right.
going to be on the other, like the main floor where the camera
Got
can
it.
actually
Got
film
it.
them. So that's just due to layout. So I think the other one's going to be longer, and this one might just be the more classic one, I suppose. Like what you're just used to seeing on like a semi-final type floor. Um, but yeah, I don't know. Yeah, that's a good point about the carrying across on the chip time, and maybe it's not that, but yeah, that's a good point. But the dump in the bag is a bit, that's hard to judge. So um, we shall see. I agree with your point about like the cumulative fatigue as well. Might play a factor, but I just always look at these guys and girls always like just surprise me at like their ability just to recover and then put out some ridiculously good performances. And yeah, like I know it's 3 rounds and it could bait you if you go way too hard in that first round, but I just don't see some of these top people, breaking up 20 toes a bar or a 60-foot sandbag carry or
Yeah.
pacing a 15 cal bike. I think it's just going to be a good sprint. But yeah,
Full
again,
hand, full send. Yeah, and you'll have people who are on the outside looking in. Like, we don't have last chance qualifiers or anything this year. Like, you know what the position is that you need to get to make it to the games. You're going to be in the same lane as you're going to be in the same heat as the people who you need to beat.
yeah,
And so you have to just let it rip.
yeah.
To
And
quote
also it's
the
not,
great naughty
yeah.
TV show Beyblade.
Oh dear. How have you
Sorry.
slipped that type of reference in here? um, dear me.
Um,
I'm gonna say like also like I'm just gonna ignore that and move on. Also, the 3 rounds was also the same as well rep scheme, so there's no like descending scheme, which descending scheme is
no.
always easier to go big
Yeah,
or
yeah.
full sends because
Yeah.
you've got less reps coming up. Whereas this, yeah, that third round is going to be make or break for a few people, but I just maybe the bubble people who are on the edge, which I suppose makes it exciting. But those top people, they're just going to fly through. I think it won't be too
Yeah.
stressful. But yeah, cool. I
Sounds
think
good.
overall thoughts, I think they're quite good. A bit different, which isn't too surprising. That's most people thought we were going to see a few different things. Most notably, just no jump rope, which was quite interesting. And I think just the
Mm-hmm.
flow. I think day 2 is just going to be so tough on the body doing Linda and then also that snatch event. That is so much like lifting and just external load on your system. I think doing those two and then also the next morning doing the gymnastics chipper with the heavy overhead squats, or well, for those top guys, maybe moderate to heavy. Because I have seen Noah Olsen do 185 for 30 reps unbroken. So I don't think 20 is going to be a crazy struggle. But yeah, I just think that's a really rough flow. I think it would have made more sense to start with test 1, keep as it is, and then have Linda end of day 1, very similar to 2018, and then start with the gymnastics test on the morning of day 2, and then have your heavy snatch in the evening of day 2, and then have your gymnastics chipper, and then the same order. So just flip around the earliest side of things. So I just think the whole of day 2 and then waking. I just can't. Can you imagine waking up day 3 after day 2 and be like, wow, I've now got to actually go snatch. You got to snatch the barbell again to get it overhead for your overhead
Yeah,
squats.
yeah.
I mean, you could clean and jerk it, but it just makes more sense to snatch, and it's just going to be rough. Like, I just
But
think
yeah,
your body's going to be beaten up.
But like part of me thinks that that's the intention, right? Is that
Yeah,
we're trying to
yeah,
find the people who can do that at the games and
yeah,
can continue to perform and still feature on that third day and not
yeah.
just just be sitting there mailing it in,
Mm,
for want of a better phrase.
yeah.
Like, who's got that endurance to last?
Yeah, I mean, I agree with that. I just think maybe because we haven't seen something like that in terms of flow. I think maybe
Yeah,
back in the day there was always more of a flow to think like. I think there's just a general consensus when it comes to programming events. If you had like a heavy event at one part of the day, you're probably not putting another heavy event in on the same day.
yeah.
And then
Oh yeah,
the
yeah,
boss literally just thrown out the window. It's like, we'll give you Linda, and then we'll also make you smack snatch in the afternoon. I just
yeah.
think that's quite tough on the body, but yeah,
I
I just
mean,
thought it
to
was
be
quite
fair,
interesting.
you did want to change Linda to be kettlebells and
Yeah.
sandbags.
But that's
So
not like with the flow of but us then would have still put it day 1 after the more aerobic test.
okay, yeah,
Um,
yeah.
yeah, if I was changing everything, I would take out that whole snatch event. I just don't think it's necessary, really. Um,
Agreed.
but yeah, so no, but I think they're still quite interesting, and it'd be a good watch for the ones we can watch. Um, get that in again.
Just mention 5.
But yeah,
Saltiness increasing.
yeah, I think that's everything really. I don't know if there's anything else you want to touch on.
No,
Okay.
I'm excited for it. I think we're gonna see. I think what it does do is that it's, and with such a deep field that we've got, you are going to see people appear for one event, have a great event, and then potentially disappear for the rest of the for the rest of the weekend. We've got 60 athletes across both North American semis and in Europe. I think it's very much going to be quite interesting to see like the types of people that are able to push through and factor into the sort of final top 10 ish that will make it through on both the male and female side as well.
Yep, I agree. Cool. Right. We'll end that there. We're gonna do a separate show on some predictions, mainly looking at the European, like male and female sides, based on these tests, and yeah, put together some ideas of people who might be in the qualifying spots. As we said earlier in the podcast, Ben is going to be away, so that'd be a shame. So
Honestly, you're so angry. Yeah, well, I will not make any promises, but I might just send you voice notes that you can insert. So you could send me your list of questions beforehand, and I'll send you voice notes as I'm sitting on a beach somewhere.
Lovely stuff.
Who am I kidding? I will be sitting watching all of the game, all of the semis.
No, you
every
won't be
weekend
sitting watching events 2, 4, 5, 6, 7. So
it's just 1 and 3, man. Yeah,
that's so many.
Come
That's
on.
too many. It shouldn't be any. It shouldn't. I don't care. I don't care if I sound upset on this episode. I am upset. I'm heartbroken.
I mean, to be fair, we only know that there are 3 confirmed live streams at the moment, right?
What do you mean?
There is, as far as I'm aware, there's not a confirmed live stream for the other 3
What do you mean? For what? The semis?
semis.
Oh, okay,
Yeah.
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 Imagine that. Like, we're not even going to show like these other semis. Oh dear. The cost cuts really do be hitting hard. But anyway,
It's cost of living crisis, mate. Cost of living crisis for everyone.
But yeah, that's it for this week. Yeah, we'll look forward to catching up on the next one. Goodbye.
See you guys soon.